Hi everyone, my name is Serena. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna show you all of the books that I have added to my physical TBR in 2020. Before I show you, I want to talk a little bit about stats. Most of the books that I have here are gifts because I don't usually buy books. I think I bought 3 of them out of 23 because I have 23 books, which is a perfect number if you think about it because I turned 23 this year, so great. The last time I filmed a book haul was last December, I believe, and it was my first video in Italian. It was my book haul in Italian, which was very weird, and I felt that I was speaking in a weird way the entire time because I'm used to talking in English to a camera. But anyway, this is going to be in English. Maybe I'll do another video in Italian soon, but for now we're doing English. So as I said, I have 23 books. I have 18 fiction books and 5 non-fiction books, which is crazy. I never buy non-fiction books, but this year I've been so interested in non-fiction. I have 7 historical fiction, 3 YA contemporary, one of them is in verse. Then I have 4 literary fiction, I believe, 4 horror / thrillers. I think 2 are horror and 2 are thrillers. And in particular, 3 of the books here are feminist, like books about women. Because I took a class this year about that and I was interested. A shocking thing is that there is no fantasy. I know, I keep saying that fantasy is my favorite genre, but this year I haven't been interested in fantasy. The fantasy that I'm currently interested in are Brandon Sanderson, because I've read The Arithmetist, but I want to read more of his books because I know he writes good fantasy books. Another book that came out this year that I'm interested in is a paranormal fantasy. It's from Blood and Ash, I believe, because I've read her other book, Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I liked it, and everybody is liking From Blood and Ash. It has like a 4.45 on Goodreads, and the second book already came out like 6 months later, so I'm interested in that. And another fantasy that came out this year that I'm interested in is Cemetery Boys and Elatsue. I think that is fantasy-ish. It has like indigenous representation, so I'm interested in that as well. One book that I'm still on the fence is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Everybody seems to love that. Some people say it's historical fiction, but if it's fantasy, I'm slightly interested. So those are all of the fantasy books that I'm interested in, but I don't have them right now. Eventually I will read them. But I just want to say that I haven't been very interested in fantasy lately. If you have like recommendations for me, please let me know like your favorite fantasy of the year. I don't want to sound rude, but I want to read something different than, you know, fairies and I don't know, Sarah J. Maas. I have read ACOTAR. There are adult content, so it's not a problem of YA and adult, but I really just want to read good, gripping, shocking fantasy. I think I'm gonna find that in Brandon Sanderson. I have a feeling. But that's enough of that. I think I'm gonna go in chronological order. The first book that I received this year was in January, and it was a late Christmas present by my cousin, and it is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. It's small. One of my goals for the year was to read more Stephen King. I didn't do that, but Pet Sematary is one of the books by Stephen King that interests me. There are a few, not all of them interest me, but a few of his books, of his concepts really interest me, and this is one of them. I watched the movie. I think the book could be better. If I remember correctly from the movie, it is about this family who moves house, and then there's this pet cemetery, and it's about grief. And then in May, I received The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I saw this book in a lot of people's best book of the year videos of 2019, and this is a thriller. If you know me, you know that I never read thrillers before October, so this is one of them that I want to read. I know Books and Lala loves this and a lot of other booktubers, so I'm planning on reading this soon. The next few books are books that I received for my birthday in July. I received my first nonfiction of the year. This is The War on Women by Sue Lloyd Roberts and Sarah Morris. This is a nonfiction about women. I think it's like a collection of essays, I want to say, stories from women all around the world. There is, like, I opened this, chapter 6, from Russia. Or here on chapter 11, rape as a weapon of war, Congo. I studied that. I'm really interested in this, I have to say. I want to apologize if my camera gets foggy for some reason. It has been acting up lately. I don't know why, but my lens fogs up for some reason, so I'm sorry about that. I'll try to check every once in a while. But the next book that I received for my birthday is Felix Ever After. This has been in everyone's book haul. Everybody has loved this year. It's about a trans character in high school, I believe. It's my first YA contemporary here, and the cover is so pretty. I love it. Can't wait to read it. The next book series that I received is a box set, and it was a gift from my roommates in Liverpool. It is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I love this box set. The books are small and big at the same time. They're like 1,000 pages each. I know that I said that I probably would never read this, but I absolutely love the show. I really do. So one day I will, since I already own them as well. So I have no rush, no pressure, but I really want to read this. I know people say that there are some problematic stuff in here. I believe it, but I'll see when I'll read them. The next 15 books are books that I received last week, basically. Let's start off with the historical fiction books. And first off, we have Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens or Delia Owens, I don't know, I'm not sure. This is an historical fiction set in North Carolina in 1969, and I'm pretty sure someone dies and someone gets blamed for it, so I'm interested. Then I have another famous book of 2020. It is Lovely War by Julie Berry. This is set during the World War I, and I've usually read a lot of, well, not a lot, but I usually read about World War II, so I'm interested in this one. It is narrated by the Greek gods, I think by Aphrodite and Ares, maybe even Hades, but it is about, I think, 4 people during the war, and I'm predicting romance, I'm predicting heartbreak, you know, because it's a war story. Last historical fiction that I have here is The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. I read Salt to the Sea by her, and I loved that one. It was set during World War II, but this is set after the war in Madrid in Spain. It's about the dictatorship of General Franco. So I'm very interested in, you know, learning more about historical events, especially about these unknown historical events. We all know about World War I and II, but I don't know a lot about this, so I'm interested, and I already know that I like her writing. Next, let's talk about the other 2 YA contemporaries that I bought. One, as I said, was in verse, and yes, you guessed it, it's Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. And I already read the Poetex, loved it. I am going to read With the Fire on High this month, which is not in verse, but I own it. And now I own this one, finally a book in verse. And I'm so interested. It's about these 2 sisters who don't know that they're sisters, and they have their father in common, you know. They discover each other. One of them lives in New York, I believe, and the other in the Dominican Republic. The other YA contemporary is Letters to the Lost. This is an older YA contemporary. It's not a 2020 release, but I'm very interested because I want to read more about grief. My mom died years ago the other day. It has been 16 years already, and I want to read more about grief. This is a book about a girl who writes letters to her mom, and then there's a romance. I know that Bridget Kemmerer wrote A Curse So Dark and Lonely. That's a fantasy, I believe. So I didn't know that, but I'm interested in this book. It also has good ratings, so yeah. Next, I want to show you the other thriller and horror that I have. I have The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. This is a long title, by Grady Hendrix. I also want to read his other book, My Best Friend's Exorcism, I believe, because it has 80s vibe, and I've been loving the 80s, the 70s. I love that time. But this is set in the 90s, I believe, and it's about a vampire. I think it's very graphic, maybe. I don't know, but I like vampires. I want to read more horror. Then I have a Karen Slaughter book. This is Pretty Girls. I know this cover isn't the best. I like the other one better, but they had this in paperback. I really enjoyed The Good Daughter in October, so I want to read this one. I know that this is very like gruesome and graphic, and I just never read anything like that, and I'm curious. I'm very curious. This is, I don't know what this is about, honestly. I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't know anything about the thrillers, because I believe that for thrillers especially, it's better to know anything, nothing at all. Now, shall we talk about literary fiction or nonfiction? I'm going to go with literary fiction first. First of all, we have another famous 2020 book. It is My Dark Vanessa. I love this cover. It's pinkish, like a salmon color, and this has a very heavy topic. It's about, I think, a woman who is thinking about her past and how when she was in school, she was abused by her professor or teacher. I'm predicting, you know, a very heavy heart while reading this book. The next two books are part of a series. It is Bear Town and Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. I have read Anxious People already this month. I enjoy his writing, and I'm so curious to read more by him. I think this is about like a hockey team, something scandalous happens, and it's about this town. It has good ratings. A lot of people have been talking about this on Booktube, and they convinced me to buy this. The last literary fiction that I have here is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. I believe it's pronounced that way. I'm not sure what this is about, but I'm pretty sure it's fiction. Maybe there are short stories about women. I'm not sure. I really am not sure, but I'm really interested in this. It won the Booker Prize in 2019. Lastly, I want to talk about the other nonfiction that I got. These are 4 books because I already showed you one. The first book is another feminist book. It's Hood Feminism. I'm pretty sure this is about women of color. It's by Mickey Kendall, and as I said, I'm very interested in this topic. Next, I am really interested about reading more about Indigenous people, and I think this is a collection of essays. This is A Mind Spread Out on the Ground by Alicia Elliott, and it's about Canadian and Indigenous people, and I'm just very, very interested and cannot wait to learn more. The next 2 books, I'm just so excited because they look so pretty together. Like, look. They look amazing together, and usually I don't like people on the cover. Not because of them, obviously, but they just look so pretty together. I have In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park and Know My Name by Chanel Miller. These are 2 books I'm very interested about. I'm so interested in North Korea. I watched a lot of vlogs, and I'm just so interested about that. It's about her journey to freedom. I'm also very excited about this one. Everybody seems to love it. It's about the survivor of the Stanford sexual assault case, and these are just topics I need to learn more about, and can't wait to read them. Hi, it is Serena from the future. I just needed to add this to the video. I just received a package and I was not expecting anything. I received this book. It's The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I've been wanting to read this one for a long time. It's about 2 sisters who choose to live in 2 very different worlds, one black and one white. And this was a gift from Mary Among Stories, and I wasn't expecting this at all. I was shocked when I received this. Thank you so much, Mary. I will link her channel down below. Yeah, and thank you so much. Let's get back to the main video. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, these are only a few, but these are all the books that I acquired this year, and I'm adding them to my physical TBR. I'm so excited about all of them. Have you received any of these? Have you read any of these? Let me know. I'm so excited, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!